Mead.
The mead of Kentucky.
That is the mead of Kentucky. We're so glad to be back.
Yes. I mean, we're a little bit a day late. We had some things and
Some technical issues.
but we're going to be here for you guys. We're trying to do this every week. Next week we're going to be every day at the Meade County Fair, and we're going to bring you what's going on each day. We're going to be talking to some of the folks that are out and about, just to kind of show you what a good time is. Show you what the fair, how good the fair is. How what is it that David Pace says? They want to make it a family affair at the fair. So it's so the prices are going to stay the same, $12 a person. That gets all the kids all the rides. It gets the adults the rides too if they really want to if they want to partake. But I really appreciate the way they do the fair.
Yeah.
The way they try to keep the prices down for families and things. I mean, you get a family of three, and if you go to some of the other locations and things, it's like you get it'll be $20. It costs you $5 to get in, and then $20 to get on the rides. Maybe $25 or $30 to get a ride pass. A family of three kids and mom and dad, so 5 people. That's $25 to get in, and then if all 3 kids get a ride pass, you're talking $60 more bucks. So you're talking about $85 just to go to the fair, and that's before you get anything to eat or anything like that. So the fact that Meade County Fair keeps it at a price that's pretty affordable. And then if you go on Wednesdays, it's $1 off, so it's only $11 a person. So.
I was telling all my soldiers about that on post, and other civilians about the fair coming up, and they're like, "Are you serious? It's only $12?" And by the way, before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Oh, that's right, we don't have any. And trying to keep the costs down. Mark and I are volunteering all this time just to let you know who's who in the zoo and what's going on with you.
That's
right here in Meade County. So. We spent a lot of time last week. I tell you, go back, watch the podcast because Dave was on here.
Yeah.
Amazing coverage. I think you've got access to all the fair information on the website. The pamphlets are out there. The real fairground pamphlet is out there, which just exists of the schedule without all the advertisers. I did contribute to the advertising of the other one at the, anyway.
You're forgiven,
I appreciate it, but...
we're trying to play nice with the paper and everything, and it's it's
working out.
It's been fine. Not to get into
we don't need
detail tonight. So,
no
but let me tell you what's happening. So,
Yep.
Saturday. So the fair technically starts on Saturday, but the rides and stuff don't start until Monday afternoon. Sunday is the fair parade.
What time?
It starts at 2:30.
Yep.
We're going to be walking in it. Daniel Cameron is going to be here.
Now, wait a minute. Before you start about the parade, did you tell Pastor Ryan he needs to shorten service up so we ain't getting out of there at 1:30?
I don't tell Pastor Ryan anything like that. But
well, that is true because the Holy Spirit activates.
We'll be done. Service unless the Spirit moves and we go all day.
I can do that
which has
too.
happened. It's happened, and to tell you the truth, That's it's a pretty.
I put you on the spot, didn't I?
It's a very good day. You did put me on the spot a little bit. But service should be out in plenty of time. The fair parade doesn't start till 2:30. It's going to start over, I think, at Meade Olin Park, and then go down Broadway up through up along. Let's see, what is that?
Did they finalize the route?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be from just like it was last year, from Meade Olin up through. I'm trying to remember
the road, but it goes all the way up to the fairgrounds.
It goes all the way to the fairgrounds direct. So it takes Broadway, makes the right there by the courthouse, and then goes on up to. And for some reason, the name of the road has just skipped my mind. I've lived here all my life, and I can't remember the name of the road.
863, 836.
But it's going all the way up to the fairgrounds, and it'll end there. So get your place. It should be a nice day. The weather seems to be coming together for us, so. We'll see. There's always a chance that things change.
Is that Courthouse Drive?
No. It's
well, Oh, look here. I got it. I got the map coming up right now. I'm going to get it for you since we forgot here. All right, Hillcrest Drive.
Hillcrest, yeah. I kept getting High Street in my mind.
1692.
Broadway kind of, I think, becomes High Street or something over that way, but
Yeah.
it's Hillcrest. Thank you.
So where 448 makes the left and keeps going, you'll make the right on Hillcrest, and we all finish
Go
out
right in front of the courthouse, and then on up to the fairgrounds.
Absolutely.
So, and like I said, Daniel Cameron's going to be walking in this. He's going to be here shaking hands. We're going to have, I think we're going to have a really nice group go out and helping hand out candy and literature and all that good stuff. We always have a good time. Joe Redmond is setting up the float. We expect that to be really nice. It's going to be a little different this year because we couldn't get the float from. Couldn't get
the elephant.
The elephant. So Ellie is no longer available to us. Ellie the elephant was sold, and so we can no longer use it. Well, not without a long trip anyway.
That's all right.
So
We got something pretty fancy for
We're
you.
changing. We're making a change. And it's probably about time that we do something on our own. But big thank you to Hardin County for allowing us to borrow that every year in the past. So,
Well, we're making all kinds of advancements into the future, though, here in this party.
We are. We're working really hard to move us forward, to put some some things in place and
Now-
things that'll be hopefully that'll give us longevity.
So let me ask you a question. How much candy do you think we got saved up for all them patrons that are going to be at the parade? What do you think? Because I know I brought 25 pounds in tonight.
And I know that we've received donations of probably another half of that or more.
Okay.
And then I know that we have a 5-pound bag. I think it's a big 5-pound bag, or maybe it's 10 pounds of Tootsie Rolls.
Oh, no.
So
So
we should
kids,
have plenty.
You hear that out there, kids? You better make sure you get as close as you can because the GOP's coming with the candy.
That's right. That's right. So some of the other things we want to talk about is yesterday we had the kind of the fair kickoff. Not really a kickoff. It was the every year the Chamber of Commerce has a meeting, has their luncheon.
Yeah.
The week before fair, and the one for July is always the week before fair, and this year it was sponsored by Flaherty Chevrolet, and so they had some presentations and stuff. But in reality, what happens is usually they talk about what's coming on at the fair and such. So David Pace was there, and he talked about they had Larry Phillips, I think, had his tractor, his pulling tractor out there, but more to the point, they wanted to show off. David wanted them to show off the trailer, right? Because they had this big trailer that they haul it in, and it's got and he said basically when you go to look at it and you go inside and look at it, and I've seen it before. I didn't get to see it yesterday, but he basically just have a couple of inches on each side, just a couple of inches on each side of the tires to get that thing in the trailer. So it's a semi trailer basically, and so they get and then they use that to haul it all over the country. So it's like their headquarters when they're moving around. So it's really cool. So it's really cool to see if you get to see it. Then also they show now they're not going to have drone racing. They're not going to have drone racing this year. But they wanted to show it off as a possibility for 2024. And so Bluegrass Drone Racing was out there. They're a new affiliate under the MultiGP umbrella. And so my son, Justin Burnett, is one of the founders of Bluegrass. And then he also had a couple of other guys out there, Sean Hunt, Show us a little bit what they do. You get to see this when they have hundreds of people show up
Oh, sure.
for a race. Now this year, everything got kind of started a little late. They didn't even have an idea that they should even be approaching the fair. And David Pate saw him over behind the extension office flying one day, and they're just trying to build their chapter and stuff,
Sure.
their local chapter. So. So if you're interested in getting into drone racing, either come watch or want to get involved and maybe become a pilot. It doesn't take any kind of certifications. You can get a commercial license if you like.
109 exam.
Yeah, which you're aware of. I know you took it and got yours, right? And then Justin was explaining, and we're going to have Justin on probably in the next next couple 3 weeks. Hopefully one day during the fair we'll have him come on and talk about it a little bit, and he'll be able to explain it a little bit better than me. But what he was explaining to us yesterday was that you don't have to have the rules, the FAA rules. I think right now they're getting ready to change so that you have to register your drones.
Yep.
Currently, you don't have to because they haven't really put that. It hasn't really started, but it's coming. And so basically, you would have to register each of your drones as a, so when you're flying, it's almost like a
like an aircraft.
It's almost like having an aircraft. And the thing is that the FAA usually doesn't really get into that height. But what's happening is, and this, as the story goes, is companies like Amazon and such want to have unfettered access to certain heights, so that they can
deliver.
So basically, they're buying up. They're going to be getting licenses to fly in that zone, and so the FAA is pushing everything down.
So right now, I should sell my air rights to the Amazon so they can deliver packages.
Well, the FAA is just going to take it from us. This is the way it's going to work. Anything above the ground, anything above an inch or so, the FAA claims.
No, I'm going to get a lawyer and secure my airspace.
Well, I mean, I was talking to some folks about this a little bit too, and this whole what was it called, the Exxon. Was it called the Exxon deference or something case that's been going? It happened in the 60s that allowed these it allowed the bureaucracies such as the EPA and stuff to claim it. So the way it works out is the bureaucracy only exists, an agency, if you will, only exists based on law that was passed by Congress and then signed by the president. And so what they did was they said, okay, it used to be that if the vagueness of the law or the vagueness of a contract, if a contract was vague in a certain point, then it went to the person that oversees, right? They get to claim that the definition. But in the 1960s, this was like an EPA case. The case went to the other direction and said, well, they're going to rely, the law is vague, so they're going to rely on the quote unquote experts in the field, which are the ones that are in these agencies. So the agency now gets to dictate what the law means. So, and then from that point on, Congress passed more and more vague legislation, and so these agencies have claimed basically whatever they want it to be, they can make it. So the EPA, for instance, says that they can. There's a case. This case that's going on right now is in California, I believe, and they said that if you have water, that if it rains and your property has water that stands in a certain area, EPA has jurisdiction over that area as the waters of the United States. And so it's a and so they can say whether or not you can build on your lot, and which is what's happened. These people bought a lot in a subdivision and they want to build, and then some people didn't want them to build there, right? And so they
hole.
made a claim to the EPA that this is that to go through this process, and the EPA came in and said, no, you can't build here because
it collects water.
It collects water when it rains. It doesn't hold water. It's not a pond. It's not a stream. It just has water in it. So if it rains on your property, the EPA can technically take claim of your property. That's the way the kind of the way this has worked. And so this case that's coming up, I don't know if it's actually been settled or not, but it could, depending on how the court rules, it could actually flip a lot of things in out there now. Whether that's good or bad, I mean, I think it's good that there's certain regulations that are out there that need to protect environment and to protect people. I think at the same time the EPA goes overboard.
Well, I think people go overboard.
It's more about controlling somebody than it is about regulating something.
Absolutely.
So,
so were you there when he did the drone flying that day?
I was, and so we went out there at lunchtime and watched them fly, and like I said, there were about 3 of them there, and they showed drones. They have drones that they race that fit in the palm of your hand that are maybe 3 inches by 3 inches or something, and then they went all the way up. I can't remember what the larger ones were, but they talked about the drones. They have what's called what is it? But basically, the drones are throttled to a certain RPMs, right, or to for a certain thrust ratio, and so that way you're basically saying, okay, all the machines are the same, so it's all about pilot at that point. So it's kind of like NASCAR, right? Because NASCAR is considered stock car.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're not going to the Ford dealership and buying those cars in stock, but essentially, they all have the same restrictor plates and things like that makes it basically make the car the same.
So it's up to the race car driver to win.
It's up to the driver and the team because they used to talk about his name just escaped me, but. Number 24 used
Dale Earnhardt?
Yeah, no.
You're talking about I know
Jeff Gordon.
Gordon.
So Jeff Gordon, when he was doing all his winning, a lot of where he won was in the fact that they had a highly athletic pit crew, and they trained like they were like football players.
Yeah.
And they were getting faster and faster and faster. So they trained their pit crews like athletes, and didn't treat them like mechanics. But they were mechanical people and could do the jobs,
but they were
physically fit. So they were beating everybody out of the pits every time. So they were picking up 2, 3, 4 seconds on the other drivers every time they pit, and that's really where made a big difference. Now Jeff is a great driver. That was the other piece of it. So he all things being equal, his pit crew put him way ahead. Besides the fact that he was a good driver, so those things matter.
Sure.
And so. But it's just like so drone racing is much like that. I mean, or at least certain aspects of it. And then they also have where they just do wide open ovals and things where it's unrestricted and you're just trying to get the fastest, as fast as you can possibly go. And those things streak across the sky, they streak across the sky you almost can't see them.
Right.
And so you can, but it's like, again, it's like NASCAR. You see them coming up the straight stretch, but when they go by you, it's a blur.
Right.
And then you catch it on as it goes into the next turn and as it go into the next thing. So it's pretty cool and a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. I wish DRL, which is the main drone racing league, which is what you see on ESPN and such. I wish they had more of more drivers and more teams and things. It's very kind of closed and enclosed and controlled right now because they have X amount of teams, X amount of people that's allowed in, and so not everybody can just get into the DRL. So they just went through their annual sim testing. So they start off by doing a sim test,
sure,
and you do simulated flying. They use the exact what's cool about what the setup is, the same exact. You take your controller that you control your drone with, and you hook it into your PC through Bluetooth or wire or whatever.
Yeah, I had that for when I flew, but you could fly like a.
But you're flying. Yeah.
I could fly the plane that I want to go buy and see how I like it and how it
exactly. So
tracks,
so in this case, you're flying the drones that you would do with the same specs as DRL, but you're doing it in a simulated environment. And so they actually race there, and that's how they choose their next. So they just did that. Justin was in the top, made the top 12. He didn't get to the. He didn't make it this year, but he's top 12, and that's
pretty big.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of flyers that start out in these things, and you had to qualify at each level. And so he made the finals, but I think he came in 12th on the overall. So. I think that's really cool. I mean, he's obviously disappointed. He wants to, he wants to make it one day, but and he'll talk about some of that. He can talk.
Now, do they get to race now with the blocks around the blade so they don't lose a blade in flight, or do they have to race?
Oh no, that's all wide open. They don't. They some of the smaller stuff does because. But the big stuff, it's just a replacement piece.
Well, I just know that, but I know if you collide in flight, you're done. But if you got the protection on the blade, you can just bump and keep going.
Well, yeah, but it also adds weight and things like that to your machine. Yeah. So they're just
stock
open.
car, baby. Put them all on there. I'm just kidding. All right, yeah. So, I fly, but I fly for just personal use. I don't have my 109 that you were talking. I have the one that you take. No. I want to take the 109, but you have to take the course online to fly drone. So, moms and dads, if you go and buy your kid a drone, it's not hard. They just have to take an online class that's free. You take the class, you get the cert, and then you just fill out the form online so the FAA knows. And another application that you should use is called Before You Fly. And that really basically just tells if I'm going to fly in my yard, Before You Fly is connected to the FAA. So the FAA knows that I'm flying my drone in the yard right now. Yeah. I'm hot. So if a helicopter from Fort Knox flies over because I'm not in their airspace, then they're going to know that, hey, there's a drone somewhere, on the ground, and they'll see that on their instruments because it talks to the FAA.
Right.
So that you don't get into a situation where if they're low flying below the 400-foot ceiling, that's what you learn in the class. They tell you how high you can fly your drone. Most of these drones with the GPS will tell you your altitude, so you're not there. And honestly, if you're flying at 400 feet, you're a little too high, because if you're just goofing around your house and stuff, you're not going to be over 100 feet. I mean, mine's 3 stories at the basement.
Yeah, I mean in drone racing, you're flying in like DRL is flying in stadiums, so you do get kind of high, but you're not getting 400 feet.
No,
that's up there. But I mean, it could get you can get to 200 to 300 feet depending on how high the stadium is. But you're usually flying through different things and obstacles that are you're not just flying straight open out in the air.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and another thing that you can do is when that is it also will tell you where you can't fly. Right. It'll tell you where the restricted airspace is, and like you can like we one thing they could do, like the fairgrounds doesn't like people flying drones during the race or during the fair, right? And so they can actually go to the FAA or to the website and ask for a restriction, a no-fly restriction over that area during that time period, and it'll put a temporary hold on that airspace,
right?
And nobody can fly. You can set the parameters, drones and things, I believe. So, and again, Justin, I think can probably explain it a lot better than I can, but I'm going by what he's told me and showed me over the years because he's the expert in our family.
So I was reading an article. It's on Bing or probably Google, but Trump always makes interesting threats. But the thing that came out of it was, are you tracking the new social platform Truth Social? And it's like
no.
They created a whole.
I would like to point out, though, that Me Truth existed long before Truth Social.
It did. With the same endeavor, except they're probably well oiled and backed with funding to create their own.
I'm sure they are. Ours is Steve and Mark. So
that's right. But anyway, so
and the party.
But I am curious to see who's on there now, and maybe even get an account on Truth Social just to figure out what is being said, what is being read out there and stuff. But
I signed up to sign up when it first hit. but it took so long. And then, of course, what you call it, bought Twitter. Elon Musk bought Twitter, so that kind of cured that a little bit for me, because I've been on Twitter since back about the time it started, and Facebook same. I was on Facebook in probably 2007 when it actually went full public and stuff.
So this week's been an interesting week. Speaking of truth, we do now have a running mate for the governor's race.
Yes, we do.
Who is that, gentleman? Could you tell us all about it?
It is Senator Robbie Mills. I believe that Senator Mills is from down maybe in the Henderson area, Henderson, Kentucky. Not quite sure. I was hoping to look it up here real quick, but I'm having trouble
I got it.
getting on the internet here. So
Robbie Mills is running mate for governor race. He is out of, General Assembly for 6 years, served Senate District 4, representing Henderson, Hopkins, Union, and Webster counties.
Yeah, so I was thinking it was Henderson area. So
Yep. And he's the chair of the Senate Local Government Committee and serves on other committees, including Economic Development, Tourism and Labor, Transportation, Natural Resources and Energy. And he serves in the state. He served in the State House between 2017 and 2018. So, yeah, I mean, he's probably well known around those parts.
He is very much he is looked at very favorably amongst most Republicans, and I think that what you're going to see, I think he's going to be an excellent choice. I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping it would be
Stephen Lake.
Stephen Lake.
Yeah, because it just sounds right? If it was Daniel Cameron and Stephen Lake for governor, it'd be making Kentucky great. Vote for Cameron and Lake. I'm just saying it rings.
It does.
I mean,
it has
goosey.
a certain.
I got goosey.
Oh, I see it. Yeah,
I got goosey.
it has a certain panache, right?
It does. I'm just kidding. I'm not the guy. He picked the right guy for this.
Absolutely. I think he does. I think this is going to be a really good choice. I think that he's going to have. He's going to make a lot of. He's going to be able to be helpful. He's not just going to be. I mean, right now we don't see the lieutenant governor a lot anyway. But I think that it's good to have a running mate that understands the ins and outs of the legislature.
Right.
I mean, right now we have a governor who doesn't talk to us, that doesn't talk to the legislature.
Who?
Exactly.
Who?
So the governor.
Who?
The governor.
Who?
Andy.
We have one?
We have one, but you don't ever hear from him. All you hear is
What's his name?
All you hear is about the checks.
Oh.
So
Which
which is
checks?
amazing. The checks that he vetoed.
Are the ones that he wrote that he shouldn't have.
So no, I mean, the big thing is that the legislature puts out, they put in their budget. He puts through his budget pieces, and then the legislature puts the budget together.
Yeah.
And then he vetoed a big chunk of it, a lot of it.
And then they came back,
all of it.
And then a lot of them came back and smacked them. Said, nope, we're still over.
And then they overrode the budget, and then of course he goes and writes the checks and say, look what I got you. But he vetoed that money, a big most of it anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard. It's been hard the last 3.5 years of listening to our governor say, look what I'm doing, and it's been Republican policy. It's been the fact that the Republican Party has come in and through the legislature and then Matt Bevin before our current governor and working to change the outlook for Kentucky by changing making it more business friendly and making it easier for these companies to look at us and take us seriously as a location to move to, and or put in new expansion, and we're seeing the fruits of that right now. So,
sure.
He claimed the battery plant down in Elizabethtown. Well, you couldn't have done that under the previous
legislature
under the previous when the legislature was controlled by the Democrats, because they weren't looking to they were trying to tax everybody, put more money in Kentucky's coffers by just taking more money out of the economy. And the Republicans have said, no, what we're going to do is we're going to change we're going to put more money in the pockets of Kentuckians. We're going to let the businesses keep some money so they can expand and so they can work. They making it easier for Army folks and military to come and retire here. You know,
Who me?
you know. So there's a lot of things going on, and a lot of things but a lot of these things came out of Republican leadership, and not out of the Democratic policies. So the governor's going around handing out checks because it's election year. He needs you to go vote for him, so he's going to show you all these checks. He did the same thing in Meade County last year, bringing all these checks around, hoping that you would vote for the Democratic candidate. But all of those checks were done
Already cast aside by the legislature.
The monies were put aside by Steve Meredith and Nancy Tate, working with the legislature to get those monies appropriated for Meade County.
She had to interfere in a few fiscal courts to make sure that the money was going where it was designated by
That's
them.
right.
Yeah, so it was interesting. But, well, I tell you what, I think it's a great race. And Sunday, sale. Daniel will be walking our streets in that parade, and you should get out here and see him. So,
That's right.
In fact, he's going to, well, I've got his back if he needs a ride, but I think
he's insisting he's going to walk the entire thing, which a lot of candidates do.
Troy did that. Troy ran that whole thing,
and it's not an easy walk, especially if it's a hot day. I mean, you go, it's okay at the first, nice and flat, and you go down the hill, but then if you go downhill,
we just
you
need to
come
make
back
sure
up.
that the lead of the parade drives slow, because they left too big of a gap in the middle, so it just kept yo-yoing, and it was really too long.
Well, that's what they want to. That's what they want to. They want to kind of get away from that. They really don't want as many people to walk, but you gotta just keep moving forward. And if,
but we try to do
if
that.
Somebody falls out, either get on the float, or just set off to the side and slow your pace, and then we'll come back and pick you up or something. Afterwards.
Yeah, but we were walking more than a 5 mile an hour pace from the start of the parade.
Yeah, I mean it's a.
That's pretty fast.
I looked at the map today. It's under 3 miles. It's from Meade-Olin out to onto Mormon Road, Mormon down to Broadway out to Hillcrest out to the fairgrounds. 2.8 miles, something like that.
Well, that's good. Then
So
drive 2.2 miles an hour,
and
so
you
we
get done
can,
in just about an hour.
in an hour, so we can walk.
And that's 2 mile an hour is a very easy pace.
That is an easy pace, and everybody can finish together. But you got people that put their foot on the pedal and drive 5 miles an hour,
Yeah.
because their vehicle don't idle at 2 miles an hour.
So I mean, you think about it. You can do the whole thing in an hour if you do if at 3 miles an hour. Well, that's a little bit. It's still that's a little bit higher than a leisurely walk, but still it's not that bad. 3 miles an hour is not bad. So I would say that it should be pretty good. And then of course we're going to have our booth at the fair all week.
All week.
Come and see us.
We're going to have some glitz and glam too.
Yeah, we're going to have some new stuff, and we're going to have a new setup. Steve's done some great stuff getting the
Equipment.
the equipment set up. We've got new backdrop, new tablecloths. We should have it should be we should be able to show a pretty good showing. So but the big thing is we're going to be talking to you guys there. So if you guys come and sit down or come out and see us, and say hello, we might grab you and put you in a chair and say, how you doing? What brings you to the fair?
Come on down.
Put you on the show. So we're going to be there we're going to be there at least the first hour, 5 to 6. But I think Steve and I will be pretty much there the whole time. And
That's right.
And we may I don't know how long we'll be on the air each day, but we'll be on there for at least an hour or two. So come and see us. Come by. The GOP will have a drawing there, so you can pick that up and
win some put prizes
that and see if there's we'll see if maybe you'll win something. There's some gift cards. There's going to be some candy. You can come out and get some literature. Sign up to help if you want to come out and get involved.
Yep.
The best thing you can do is get involved, so that if you don't like how things are going, the best thing you can do is just get involved. even if you don't agree with either one of the parties, find the party that best associates with you. I think for the most part, that's the Republican Party. And then come out and work. And if you think something needs to be changed, then you can work within the party to change it. At least on the Republican Party, the Democratic Party seems to have a lot of rules and things in place that don't allow you to make changes to their.
I don't know. I've never been on that side.
Things very easily. So
that's what it appears like.
I mean, what gets me is like when you see things like super delegates and things like that. I'm like, how do you have a super delegate? If you have a super delegate, that you're saying that person's opinion means more than the guy at home.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and provide for the common defense.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know where that came from. It just came out when you started talking about.
It was actually pretty good. So.
Thank you.
Hey, so let's switch a little bit back to. Let's talk about the president race for the president a little bit. So, I know it's a kind of a deeper subject.
Well, the race is on, and here come pride in the backstretch.
Heartaches,
looking dooley inside. Well, I'll tell you what. The interview with Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
And his wife.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
It was good. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Of course, a lot of people are, putting it down or whatever, but I thought that, man, she was heartfelt and she's a real person.
Yeah, I could see her doing some stuff like I saw some JFK stuff there with Jacqueline Onassis.
Well, I mean, of course, the Democratic Party is saying she's a Jackie Onassis, a Jackie O wannabe, right? That's what they're saying.
That's because they're jealous of that.
Well, yeah, they don't have that person anymore. They don't have that. There's a lot of people who say, who swear that if things were the same today, if JFK were coming up just today, that he would probably be a Republican compared to what the
that's what I keep saying. My grandfather's Democrat.
Yeah,
is what I mean? It's like there's a flip flop that occurs because people just get so one sided they get lost. But I'll tell you, this week on the Democratic race, having John F. Kennedy Jr. on the stand. Robert F. Kennedy on the stand this week. Thank you. That was a big mistake. That was interesting. I don't know if you watched it, the whole thing from like a C-SPAN point of view, but his character isn't flawed.
No. I mean, they want you to think it is.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's the thing is the Democratic Party is
and then the
attacks him.
Yeah, and then they want to attack the Republicans
because
they set it up as a. Oh, like Republicans would say a rhino is in the Republican Party. They're saying that he's a
dino.
No, he's a dino. Is that what it is?
Dino.
A rhino and a dino. Anyway,
yeah.
Bottom line is he's not lying. That's how we feel on the Republican side. He's telling you exactly how.
Yeah.
And his Democrat. You know what I mean? All of this, let's conform and norm. No, it's bullcrap. It goes back to the same argument I had weeks ago about people and their beliefs and all this other stuff, and then they want us to be. I saw 2 articles this week about young women who were still teenagers, and horrified at their process of transformation, right? Not to get into all of this stuff again like we've talked about numerous, but when do we say no, stop, on all of these things that are so far out of scope of the traditional values of what America's about?
The thing is that on the Republican side, we say there's a line.
Yeah.
And on the Democratic side, there's no line. It's everybody can do whatever they want to do anytime they want to do it, as long as it makes them feel good. And I mean, just to think about what that means, that's a Sodom and Gomorrah type of thing, right? It's like, just to think that you're going to say, I'm going to throw everything out the window that I've ever, any decency out the window, and to say that that's racist to say that, to say what's decent and what's not, it's just incredibly insane.
Or be labeled that, automatically you're a white male, so you're a racist.
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
And so I mean, well, there's people who want to say that it doesn't matter what color your skin is. If you say these things, it's a racist thing to say.
Hey, I will tell you, next week during the fair, we're going to get lots of people coming in. Over 40,000 people come to the fair. Did you know they got a helicopter landing on the ground at the fairgrounds?
I heard. I heard.
A U.S. Army helicopter landed on the ground. So I know some folks on the recruiting world, they're going to come over too, and we might get them on the podcast, talk a little bit for a
Awesome.
second.
That'd be good.
Cool. Yeah.
That'd be great.
So,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get off that subject, Mark, if you didn't notice, because I don't want to go down that road.
We get, yeah, it's one that takes me down the path that I don't want to go down either. But
Well, I thought we had a great meeting this week. I think we selected our nominee for the it's not a commissioner. What is-
fourth district. So what happened was, let's explain that process.
Yeah.
So during the 2022 election, the general election, there was a gentleman who ran for constable
For 4th district.
and won the 4th district constable a race. And then, as it came time to take office, he decided he didn't want to do it. Now, there's some reason. I don't know if this is his reason because I haven't talked to him, and maybe it'd be a good thing to have him on the podcast sometime to kind of explain it.
Yeah.
But I think, at least in part,
Sorry.
at least in part, one of the reasons is that the legislature, Kentucky State Legislature, has basically neutered the position down to almost no
authority.
no authority at all,
Unless you've been to law enforcement academy.
unless you go to the
Police academy.
police academy in Richmond, or get a similar training, right? Some certifiable training, and so and you have to do it on your own dime, which is $10,000+ to get it done, and you have to take the time off and go there and and actually be there without being paid and such. So, and then to top it all off, the it's an unpaid position. So you're doing all of this to do things the right way, and you're not going to get paid anything for it. The only way that a constable can get paid is
Delivering
serving papers and
serving
things like that
papers,
for
yeah.
court, which is done by the
Sheriff.
sheriff's office, and that's a revenue stream for the sheriff's office. So, even if they don't get certified, they can still do that piece. But if they get certified and they go through the police academy, then they can get some of those. They can get some of the policing powers back. But and originally, the constable had the exact same powers as a sheriff. But you think about this: the constable position was created back before we had roads, before we had roads everywhere, and before we had cars. It was people were on horseback. So if something happened in Battletown,
constable would take care of it and call the sheriff to come into town.
It was just another layer of the government to say. So you had a magistrate that oversaw that district, right, for the as the legal representative for the state, and they could marry people and things like that.
Right.
That's why they had those powers. So you didn't have to try to get married outside of a pastor or a preacher. If somebody wanted to just do a civil ceremony,
Sure.
they could go to their
Magistrate.
also known as the justice of the peace. Then, so they had those powers. Constable had sheriff powers in the districts.
Sure.
And so that way, they could help police, the district. They would,
Of the county. Yeah.
of the county.
So our guy came and presented the last meeting, and then this meeting we voted.
So because this position became available. Let me thank you for putting me back on track. This position became available because the person that had won decided they didn't want to be
in the general election.
and so the gentleman that we're talking about, Mr. Bates, James Bates, had approached Judge Koch and said, "Hey, I would like to fulfill this position," and that's it's being left open. And so they talked through it, and Judge Koch vetted him a little bit, and came to the conclusion that there's no real power here, but if you want to have the title and you want to do the things that you're allowed to do, then Judge Koch thought that's not who am I to stand in your way. So he vetted to make sure he wasn't like some crackpot or something like that, some power hungry guy or something. And so he
Hall monitor.
And so he appointed him, and he was approved to take the position. Well, now it's because that all happened after the
General election.
and it happened after all this is coming about without enough time to do anything during the primary.
That's right.
They're having a special election during this year's general election for that position. So it's out of cycle, and he will have the winner of this will have the remainder, the 3-year remainder, basically, of the position. And so what happens is, in order for this to happen, the Republican Party can nominate someone from committee through the committee, and the Democratic Party can do so on the other side. So and so we are, he came to the Republican Party and asked that, hey, I'd like to be your nominee. And so he came two meetings ago and kind of introduced himself to us, and we took that information, and a lot of us thought about it. And then last time he came in and we put it up for a vote, and we had a nice discussion, and he was selected and nominated. So it was, so we still have to go do the paperwork and get him in. One thing that's kind of slowed us up is it takes both myself as the chair and the secretary, Nancy Lynn. Both of us have to go and actually sign. We have to have it notarized. So we're just going to go and meet at the courthouse one day and get it all done. Hopefully sometime one day this week we'll be able to get that done. We have to get it done this week.
And then he's our guy.
And he'll be on the ballot come November. So, well, is that another show?
That's it.
Wow.
That's a wrap.
That quick.
So if you haven't seen it, check it out. This is it. The Meade County Fair Catalog. It's the official, and it starts this Saturday. Lots of stuff. I could go over this schedule all day long, but I can tell you one thing that's common throughout. There's a little bit of something for everybody.
There is.
And
it doesn't happen if you can't find something at the Meade County Fair that piques your interest. Well, then you need to let somebody know, because they do a darn good job of trying to bring new things in every time.
And if you're a new family to the community of Meade County, I guarantee you need to get this book now. Moms, dads with kids that just moved into town, maybe some of our military family folks. I will tell you that you should go through this schedule and plan accordingly, because there is so much to do for you and your kids, and lots of different events. There's the Pee-wee pageants and all that stuff, the monster trucks, the tractor pulls, and don't forget about the rides. And did I tell you that for $12 low dollars, the low price of $12 buys all the rides you want for the whole night?
All night. You bring that family car in, you pay $12 per person. Get a stamp on the back of the hand, and show the stamp.
Go right through the rides.
Right in.
Not to mention, and I would be remiss if I did not mention, Mark, you want to help me with this? The food.
Oh my gosh, the food at the fair is awesome, and those are different. Those are different organizations and clubs, high school clubs, and churches and things like that bring their food out. Cattlemen's Association has the steaks. I think the high school has. There's so much food, and
you can't go wrong. There's a little bit of.
They're open every day for lunch. If you want to come by for lunch, you can get into the fair for free during the at the lunchtime hour. Just go in, eat, and then you can leave. So and then of course you come back later on and that evening, and you can do it all again, have supper, but you have to pay for that time frame. So
yeah. All right, well, that's another show. This is a wrap. You guys have a good night.
Thanks for listening. Appreciate your appreciate your patronage.
Amen.
Amen.
Be safe out there, folks. See ya on the podcast all week next week.